Welcome out, everybody. Welcome out, everybody. This is the RemiX Morning Show, giving you that Boom Bap Breakfast right here on Black Power Media. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and let me introduce you to your host today. We got no other than Jackie Lukman and Kamal K. Frank.
Hey,
Jackie,
Kamal.
how are you?
Ear doctor. Wait, ear doctor.
I was just going to ask, could he leave the room? But that's another.
Oh, okay.
It's my chance. It's now my
I'm
chance.
sorry. I'm sorry, ear. I'm sorry.
Call me Budinsky.
How you Africans doing today?
Good. I'm doing really good. And how are you doing?
I am still kind of recovering from this thing. Still a little tired. Still a little coffee, a little phlegmy. But
you checked and everything, so it's not COVID, right?
Huh?
You checked and everything. It's not COVID, is it?
No, it was COVID.
Oh,
yeah. Yes,
damn.
It was COVID. Oh yeah.
I feel like I can catch something through the screen. I'm not quite sure. I'm like, what's going on? You know, anybody like, you're on the phone with somebody, they cough or something, and it's so it feels you like, oh my, I can't even talk. I got to clean my phone, even though like in another place.
Well, if I give it to you, come out.
True. Ear doctor.
Jackie out here thugging it out, after COVID, putting in that work. I love it.
Happy Malcolm X Day, everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Malcolm X Day.
Right.
Yeah, I remember me and Abdus went to the pilgrimage to the ceremony that's held at his gravesite every year. I think we went maybe in 2015, 16 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It was really special. It was great. There were schools that had brought a bunch of kids there. So there was like 10 school buses lined up at the funeral, and it was just great to see all of these from elementary to middle school kids and some high school kids from public schools who were there honoring Malcolm X. That was fantastic. So I'm sure they still are doing it, probably not as big as it was, but certainly because of COVID, but that's definitely a legacy we have to keep alive.
I'm trying to remember the year I went. I might have went twice, but I know one time I went. Khalid Muhammad, who is still with us, was also there, and it was mostly a ceremony of organizers and radicals and people who actually were with Malcolm. A couple of folks showed. But same thing is like one of those. And then as with all these things, I think the site is not that big, right? It's a regular, if I remember correctly, what's a plaque on the ground, but still, like again, that sense of like all the stuff that you read, videos you've seen, it just like brings it home that how important this person was to movement, into organizing, into shifting and changing ideas around Black life. So
Hey,
the thing is, the Black Man Lab I do on Mondays is moved to Mondays and Tuesdays, one in Southwest Atlanta and one in Decatur. And what we're doing is we're all purchasing books, the autobiography of Malcolm X for all the youth in there. So,
beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's also Malcolm X Festival this weekend. I'm going live this Sunday.
Oh, nice.
That's right. If you're out in Atlanta, it's starts what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
It's Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Then they must have shortened it a little bit, but huge festival out here. People, literally thousands of people are go out to that festival. Great vibes, culture, politics, history, artists spitting from the mic, singing. So it's a lot of good stuff out there. People should definitely check it out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely. Dope.
All right.
Are you leaving us? You're about to get your wish, Kamal. You're about to get your wish.
Hey. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, Kamal. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. I got to tell you, I don't care what anybody says. The vaccines did what they're supposed to do. They made the disease from the virus not severe. So
Mm-hmm.
I still have an appointment with my nephrologist to see what kind of damage this thing has done to my kidneys, if any. I'm
Mm.
hoping, yeah, because this this is what people don't get about COVID. It's like, not everyone dies from COVID, okay, fine, but there are people who have pre-existing conditions that their conditions could be more severely affected by COVID, even if they recover.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the protein in the COVID-19 virus attacked specific internal organs in the kidneys, obviously the lungs, the heart, and kidneys, possibly. So, I am really not like,
Yeah, yeah.
people who are like dismissing and poo-pooing this thing. Oh my
Well,
God.
remember the pandemic is over, right? I mean,
Right, right. I mean, yeah,
the,
Jackie caught COVID and she survived. So see, it's not a big deal. I
and it's folks like the rates are going up. We're back over 100,000, and again, when we 100,000 known cases, because a lot of folks take home tests,
mhm,
and some folks don't take tests at all. So we know that if it's 100,000 that are officially being reported per day, which again is a strong uptick from where we were like a few months ago when they started relaxing the restrictions.
mhm.
Um, so now we have over 100,000 known viruses and known people who've been detected per day. And again, that does not speak to the folks who are either home testing or not testing who have it. And my non-scientific belief has got to be that's got to be at least twice, 2 or 3 times bigger at the very least about than what's being officially reported. So
Yeah. I mean, and I say that because, I just came from Cuba. And in Cuba, I did not catch this thing in Cuba. I caught this thing at Fort Lauderdale Airport, where nobody had a 6-hour layover. Nobody was wearing a mask, like me and 3 other Black people, and maybe in the airport wearing a mask. Everybody in Cuba wearing a mask. Cuba has 5 vaccines. 5. They have developed 5 vaccines. One of them is a nasal delivery one that is specifically for severe COVID cases. Imagine how many of the 1 million plus people could have survived in this country if the US was not still upholding that criminal blockade against Cuba and traded and allowed Cuba to share that vaccine with us. How many of those more than 1 million people could have survived? I would say at least half.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
At least half, because
mm-hmm.
those cases, the severe cases, the people who were hospitalized due to COVID, is what that vaccine that Cuba, the nasal
Yeah,
delivery one, was created for. I mean, so
they could have
those
survived if they took it. Because the other problem over here
over
is
here,
that
that's
people,
true.
it's
That's
a
true.
personal liberty thing. So
Yes.
folks don't even take the COVID vaccine because somehow they think it's infringing upon their liberty, and they want to have the right to catch it and then to spread it without any acknowledgement whatsoever that their actions have consequences for other people in the world. So it's so I completely agree. It's one thing about getting the vaccine, but when you have a section of the population that is so doggedly determined to not only again potentially get themselves sick, but get other people sick. I think that becomes part of the real problem. Which if I give any credence to why the government, any reason why the government doesn't have a better, more robust or effective policy, part of it is because there's a rebellion amongst a critical mass of folks who've been taught to believe that this virus or the vaccines and the other things are somehow infringing on their rights, and so therefore they don't want to take them. They don't want to mask
Mhm.
up. They don't want to do anything.
Right. Yeah, and it's just, and now there's this thing called monkeypox that is, Ricky Ryan in the chat just said that. I don't even know what that is. But see, people, I look at the way people responded to COVID. And yes, the government, the CDC, they lied, they mishandled the response to the virus. They spread misinformation. Oh, wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. You need this kind of mask. You don't need that kind of mask. They did not explain the vaccines well at all. It took a while for people to realize, probably completely on our own, okay, the vaccine reduces or mitigates the severity of the virus. It doesn't keep you from catching the virus, kind of like the flu vaccine.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can
I mean, I
still
just
catch
put up
it,
a
you
little.
know.
I just put up a little comment that Ricky put in there, and usually I like to stay out the chat, but I don't disagree with that at all. I think I think there's a lot of issues on all sides of
Yes.
how this vaccine, or how this pandemic has been handled. I do think that is not like a direct response to I think what she's saying, but I do think obviously we were sold a lot on what the vaccine's impact and effectiveness would be,
Mm-hmm.
including, I think, a lot of the information. Again, we know that some of this is this was fast moving. It's science. New data means new information. But at first, a lot of this was brought to our attention as in this virus would protect us from even getting the vaccine, and then
True.
later
Right.
on, it would, it stop the negative impact
Mm-hmm.
of the worst symptoms of the virus, and then also it was later, but then it wears off, and so therefore, so I don't. So I think there's a lot of pockets of where this particular virus could have been restrained or dealt with, or more earnest and honest talk could have done a lot more to impact not losing over 1 million people. And but here we are in America. So
Yeah. And I bring that up because if people think this is going to be the last pandemic that we experience, I hate to tell you this, but this is going to be the first of probably many different pandemics. Maybe not as severe as this one. We can hope not. But the way humanity has this penchant for, doing the worst things to ourselves for profit, I can see, and every epidemiologist, every serious ecologist, they're saying the same things. Because of climate change, because of the destruction of the environment, yeah, we're going to have more pandemics. So I'm saying that the response, the policy response in this country completely typically screwed up in a spectacularly typical capitalist, white supremacist, patriarchal fashion that cost a million people their lives. But for as far as people are concerned, the response of people, the way people are just like, oh, screw these immunocompromised people who could get the virus, and all this kind of stuff, that to me is an indication of how people are going to respond in the future, and that terrifies me. That just the fact that people are completely okay with, as you said, not just them getting sick, but getting other people sick. I That's not going to change. So I
yeah.
buckle your
Well,
seatbelts, y'all.
speaking of a pandemic of a good sort,
Oh,
someone who spreads the music and spreads the love around.
a
My job
pandemic
to
of
do.
music
I
and
feel like
love and light.
you know what I'm saying. Are you gonna pop up? B, I gave you the green.
Ooh,
I was
yeah.
waiting for you to finish. I
Oh,
mean,
my bad, my bad.
you know what I'm saying? If you still going up and I pop up, it's like
True. I'm still perfecting my
That would
segue.
be bad.
Dad,
That would be bad
Jay,
timing.
I was about
Dr.
to say,
J's
here
not
comes
here. I'm
that
trying to
guy
perfect
with all
my.
this talk. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna front. I haven't worn a mask all year, and
Well, I know. Yeah, we already know about you. We
yeah,
already know
you
about
know
you.
me.
We
I
But
already
it's not because I don't care about people who, have things going on with their body.
You just
It's,
breathe on people, even though you care about them. Okay.
I mean, if I would stay home if I had conditions like that. I wouldn't be out in public like that around a bunch of other people. I mean,
But
So,
sometimes you don't know until after.
so immunocompromised folks should just stay the fuck at home.
I mean, you can get food delivered, all that.
Oh yeah, because everybody has money to be. Oh Lord, play the music, man. Play the music.
Hey, speaking of, what are
Don't
they
you mess
doing?
with Jackie so early in the morning.
You got the monkeypox. You got the.
We might have to do a little deep dive. What is the monkeypox or the monkey
Monkeypox.
thing?
I don't know. I'm
about
looking it up right now.
It's like chicken pox, but it's bigger. It's bigger, like pus. And why are they all named after animals? You got chicken pox. You got monkeypox.
Man, the monkey lobby is like, y'all need to stop messing with us like this. These things are not our fault.
I'm saying it's wild over there. I don't know what they're doing in them labs, but they. Whew, anyway,
here we go.
Let's go ahead and get to some music. Remix Morning Show, y'all. What's good, everybody? What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show right here, right now, today on Black Power Media. I once again go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and I would like to please ask y'all to hit that like button. Please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can know all the dope stuff that's coming right here on Black Power Media. And go to patreon.com. It drops some change in the bucket because you know we love it. And you know we need a budget. So that's what it is. All right. So who am I going to talk about today? You see, I got the theater behind me and everything. I want to talk about somebody that's been doing that thing for a while. Who is that? No other than Billy D. Williams. That's right, Billy D. Williams. And I might just talk about his whole story and do it in his voice. All right. Williams December Williams Jr. Do you know his? Wait a minute. First of all, his name is William Williams. That's a first. So he's like, yo, I'm not going to be called William Williams. I'm going to be called Billy. His mama said William. I'm going to call him William. All right. So Billy D. Williams was born in April 6, 1937, straight out of New York City. You might have seen him start off, well, some of the younger generation might have known him from Star Wars, playing Lando Calrissian back in the 80s. He was also in Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, he started the Empire Strike Back was in 1980. The Rise of Skywalker was in 2019. So he played the same role, which is marking the longest interval between on-screen portrayals of a character in American history. Who else does it other than Billy D? So, all right. So he's from New York, straight out of Harlem. He made his Broadway debut at age 7. That's right. So he started getting on the stage at age 7. He graduated from the High School of Art and Music, won a painting scholarship from the National Academy of Fine Arts and Design. Yes, he was also a painter. Not only was he a painter, this dude also put out an album. Yes, he put out an album. Before we even get to the album, though, you might have seen him back in, well, his first debut in film was The Last Angry Man back in 1959. But then he did Brian's Song in 1971. That got him an Emmy nomination. And then he came with Diana Ross with Lady Sings the Blues and Mahogany. And y'all know that was dope. So he did that. He also was on Batman playing Harvey Dent. He was also the voice in the Lego Batman movie. And then let's not even talk about TV. He's been on the Jeffersons, 227, the Hughleys, General Hospital, Dynasty. I mean, listen, he also got an NAACP Image Award, Lifetime Achievement Awards, so many awards. We got to give it up for Billy D. Williams. And he was one of the first to ask you, do you want a cold Colt 45? A cold Colt 45. That's right. He was the spokesman for Colt 45. So big up Billy D. Williams, who consistently still does film and movies. That's that dude. You know what I'm saying? Billy D. Williams. Now let's get back to the Remix Morning Show with our hosts. All right.
gonna stand there and let my hand fall off or something.
Exactly. That's the line. You messed it up, Jackie. I was gonna do that to you. I was gonna be like, you gonna let my hand fall off? That was the line.
You got to say it right. So you're just gonna sit there and let my hand fall off.
Yeah.
You sound a little bit like Sylvester Stallone, B. Wait a minute. No. You sound like Sylvester Stallone on that one. Try that again. That was too rocky. There was too much rocky.
It was a little rocky in it.
That was a little rocky.
Okay, come out. What you do it. You do it.
You gonna sit there and just let my hand fall off?
Well, there you just sound like you're under the influence.
You just sound like
slowing your words and stuff.
All right, how about this? How about having a nice cold Colt 45?
I don't know. You're giving me Rocky vibes. You're giving me Rocky vibes.
I think that was kind of close.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
I think that was kind of
I'm gonna give him a little bit. I'll give him a little bit.
Kind of close. Mm-hmm.
Well,
definitely heard Jersey in there, but I don't think you can do anything about that.
So Jackie, you had a major crush on Billy D back in the day?
I did not. No, I didn't.
I thought he would be your cup of tea, a cocoa.
No. I told you my type of dude. I told you he was not it. He was I was always with the chunky dudes. Always. Heavy D was my crush. Heavy D was my crush.
Heavy D?
Yes.
Wow. So you mean if I put on 60 pounds, I might have a shot?
I told you get your weight up, sir.
Get the weight up.
Did you think I was kidding? I was serious.
Well, I'm not 60 pounds, 160 pounds.
Okay, come on now.
Heavy D was heavy, B.
Well, he was heavy, but
that's the name.
Yes. No, I just didn't have it. Yeah, I mean, Billy D he never did it for me. My mama loved me. She loved herself some Billy D. Lord have mercy. Good grief. I can't. That woman made me watch Mahogany every time it came on television. And then when it came out on VHS, Jesus.
I'm trying to remember if I thought he was a great actor or not. I mean, I know he's still acting. Just trying to be like, did I really think he was a fantastic actor?
Fantastic. I liked him in Star Wars, and I generally didn't like the Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars fan, didn't like those movies. I was excited to see him in Star Wars, and so I liked him in that movie. But
yo, man, I had to come through. You know what I'm saying? We got my man Willie D. Williams DJing today. I was happy to see him. That's my man Willie D. Williams. Y'all bugging. But anyway, what's happening? How y'all feeling today?
Hey, Kalanji.
You want to do your Billy D. Williams line?
Yes, you come on.
Billy D. Williams line?
Yes,
come on. Hold on, let me get it right.
Go ahead, do it. And action.
No. How was that?
It was
terrible. That was my favorite line he did.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Oh, okay.
It was terrible no matter what. No matter how you spice it.
I mean, how many times can you get messed up?
Hey, man. Hey, shout out to Ray Parker Jr., Billy D. Williams stunt double.
True.
All right, I'll let y'all rock out and get to the news.
All right,
okay.
Yeah.
It's rough out here, ain't it? Anyway,
it is.
Good to see you, good people. I had to come interrupt this monotony. I saw Kamal pushing up on Jackie. I'm like, look, I had to come out the joint. My man Abdus, you know what I'm saying? He said, yo, Kalanji, get your ass on the screen. Here I am. I said, here I is. Anyway.
And I appreciate you listening to the spirit.
No doubt. You know what we do around here. I know y'all shouting out El Haj Malik Shabazz. Definitely shout out to Malcolm X, but also shout out to Yuri Kochiyama. It was also her born day as well. And also Uncle Ho Chi Minh. We can't forget Ho Chi Minh. And I want to shout out another ancestor who may not be as popular that I knew, Virginia Davis, mother of Troy Davis. You know what I'm saying? It was also her born day. And while we here, I got to shout out my man Wise, who's the head of 52 Block ATL, one of our comrades down here. So I wanted to
it's his birthday too.
It's his birthday too.
Okay.
It's on the popular day, May 19th.
Damn. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And if you're in the Atlanta area, come out and check us out tonight. Apex Museum. We will be there doing hip-hop. Yes.
Wow.
Hip-hop is a tool for liberation in honor of El Haj Malik Shabazz. We got to commemorate him on his day. You know what I mean?
That's nice. Do I spy my comrade and colleague Sean, the voice Blackman, in the chat?
He's in the chat.
In the
He's
chat.
in the chat. You in trouble now, Kamal.
That's the real.
I mean, I'm glad he should come on
No,
screen.
no, talk your shit.
No,
now,
I'm
sir.
not scared of Sean.
What?
I'm not. Shh. Me and Sean sound alike. I mean, me and Sean basically have the same voice.
Y'all got the same complexion too. Y'all kind of look alike too.
You know what, B? Better watch it.
My bad.
You just popped on. You just rolling. You just like on a roll. You know what I mean?
Just late.
So
Yes,
out.
I'm ready. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, my man. I mean, I'm just saying, if Sean ever decides to retire, get hit by a car, whatever.
Oh my God!
I'm here.
Wow.
I'm here to take his. I'm here for him.
You don't put that kind of stuff out in the universe. What is the
I
matter?
didn't put nothing out. I'm just saying, if something were to happen to him,
Wow.
That
something would happen to him.
You know what?
Slap
Let's
the
talk
map.
about this monkeypox.
You
before
slap the map on
somebody-
that?
Please slap the map. Let's go. Get out of here.
Oh my God! You know, oh, come on.
Let's just go to the news. Let's just go.
Yes, let's just go to the damn monkeypox because you.
Exactly. Yes, I was like, there's a news story that's going to explain to me and you apparently what's happening with monkeypox. Do you want to do it, Jackie?
Yeah. So I pulled up this article real quick from the New York Times about this thing called monkeypox. And first of all, the thing that really freaks me out about this is there has been an outbreak of this disease in the U.S. before. In 2003, there was an outbreak of dozens of cases of monkeypox that were believed to have resulted from exposure to infected prairie dogs and other pets. All right. So let's go back to the beginning. This recent case seems to be centered around a man who traveled to Canada. And monkeypox is a potentially fatal disease. This was the first reported case of this disease in the U.S. this year. Officials in Texas and Maryland recorded one case last year. We ain't never heard nothing about this. Whew. But the new case follows a series of unusual clusters in other countries that have begun to alarm public health officials. In the past weeks, Britain has identified 9 monkeypox cases. Only one patient has recently traveled to Nigeria, where a strain of monkeypox is commonly seen, while the remaining British patients did not travel, may have acquired the infection through community transmission. So apparently you can contract this virus from an infected small animal, or you can contract it from close contact with someone else who is infected. Spain has 23 suspected cases. Portugal has confirmed 5 cases and investigating another 15. Canadian health officials are investigating 15 possible. So, and this thing, they say it's a more benign version of smallpox, can be treated with an antiviral drug developed for smallpox, begins with fever and body aches, and then develops into a rash that starts with flat red marks and become raised and filled with pus. And like I said, the way people have responded to COVID in this country, like, not caring that they contract the virus because, look, most people survive, but also not caring that they infect other people. How are people not alarmed at the way folks have responded to COVID and having that in mind with something like this? This is the kind of thing I'm talking about, where, okay, these are small clusters of people, but I mean, what if we are walking into a scenario where, because of the way people are individualistic and selfish in this country and literally don't care whether certain people die. Because the truth is that as soon as it was realized that it was mostly Black, Latinx, and indigenous people who were dying from COVID, white people didn't care. That's really the truth in this country, and that's been proven by study after study. So, why do people think that the response to a virus like this, the spread of a virus like this, will be any different? I don't think it will be any different.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think this. Oh, go ahead, Kalachi.
no, I mean, I'm gonna let you hop on the monkeypox, pun intended, and we we take it from there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, y'all are so terrible.
I was just
I
thinking
don't. I'm not getting what the pun is, but I will take it from there.
don't worry about it.
But it just is one of those things. It's like we as humanity are not prepared, obviously, for the most part, for these type of pandemic situations. And then and apparently, at least in the past, they've been 100-year phenomenons, and obviously, we can say that with better medicine, sewage, more sophisticated understanding of how our body works, we've been able in some ways to improve sort of life chances. But still, and monkeypox may not be the thing. And hopefully COVID, in terms of the variants, over time, the little that I've read or understand is like over time, these variants hopefully get weaker. But it does not mean that shortly down the road that there's not going to be other infections. And if we handle them, and if they are more deadly or more contagious than what COVID has even proven to be, it's going to be another round of humanity unnecessarily killing itself because it refuses to deal with any kind of sophistication or understanding about how viruses work, and therefore what not only again what governments are supposed to do, but with what we as individuals might need to do to survive. And even though I think the monkeypox cluster is newsworthy and catching people's attention because it seems to be something that folks are not used to, it does not, at least as of now, seem to be something that's bordering on the edge of pandemic levels. And so thankful for that,
Yeah, I'm concerned, not necessarily for monkeypox. Hopefully that's not a thing that's going to be the new outbreak and all of that type of stuff. It's crazy because a lot of this stuff reminds you of some of these sci-fi movies, these outbreak movies and all that type of stuff. And I can't help but wonder. We're in Atlanta, and I know that just a few years ago the CDC built a $30 billion facility on their campus. They have a huge campus. I'm looking for the way this world is going, and with all these insane racists and so on and so forth. I mean, I would not be surprised if one day they say, hey, one of these viruses has escaped, the CDC headquarters or whatever the case is, because it's always something. It's back to back, and they come with new improved shit. So I'm wondering, what's going to be the new thing? Will that be the new thing where they're saying, okay, we got to get a monkeypox virus now? Monkeypox vaccine. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's sad. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's amazing. I just don't, I don't get it, man. It's wild, and I don't want to sound like a quote unquote conspiracy theorist, but this shit is bananas.
Yeah,
now there's a pun intended. You could say pun intended for that one.
Absolutely, those damn dirty apes.
The both of you, anyway.
Yeah. It's Charlton Heston. But go ahead.
But the thing that is absolutely true about the very real potential of a virus-filled future in the midst of climate collapse, particularly, is that we do know that the pharmaceutical companies in the U.S. and in the UK and in France and the Western countries, they're going to profit off of making new vaccines for these things, right? Whereas countries like Cuba, I mean, I had to ask myself when I was in the closing session for the May Day celebrations, Like, why is there like a 99% vaccination rate in Cuba? Like, why are people not opposed to taking the vaccine? You know why? Because they trust their government. Because their government is not built on entities that profit off of the misery of other people. And Cuba, their government has paid to develop these vaccines, 5 of them, that they share freely with the rest of the world. I mean, so and Cuba has a track record. Their government there is in coordination with their health sector, with developing treatments for diseases and conditions that our people in particular are dying from in this country right now. And there are treatments that Cuba holds a US patent for that the United States will not allow Cuba to share with us because Cuba won't allow the United States to make money off of these things. I mean, treatments for diabetes and diabetic ulcer amputations that could save people's lives right now in this country.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think one of the things that you're pointing out, though, is the different relationship that people here have to their governments, right? So, I mean, I'm always for a good skepticism of any government or government structure, any leadership structure. But I think the history here obviously puts people to sort of have an understanding that they know that the government is about making profits for private corporations or diverting resources to private corporations. It's about listening to those corporations and actually testing on a larger population to see what happens, right? And it doesn't necessarily, even when a product goes bad, it's not like the first reaction the government is ever to let's just pull that. It's like, let's do studies. Let's just wait out and see how many people die. Or that's, there's lawsuits. People can solve it that way. So there's all these mechanisms that lead for folks to not have trust. And obviously some of the more egregious examples is the use of experimentation, particularly on Black folks. Everything from Tuskegee to other things around medical experiments and so forth. So there's a lot of distrust with authority. And again, not just on the left or people who are politicized on the left, but obviously from what we've seen, right-wing libertarians, so there's a lot of that mistrust, and a lot of that is for good reason. And unlike Cuba, which again, I think a healthy skepticism of any government is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But Cuba, as a poor nation, has shown itself to whatever resources it has, which can't compete with Western nation states because of their imperialism and robbery. But with whatever resources that a country like Cuba has, they've made sure that the basics are met as much as possible for Cuban people, so that there's places for folks to live, people have health, people have access to food. Again, it could be much better if the socialist experiment was allowed to act without facing embargoes and disruptions, assassination attempts. So that would be, it might even show, how well the socialist system could work as opposed to what it faces in order to survive. But still, that relationship is so different. And again, I think, viruses are part of the viruses, diseases. Everything's not going to be stopped, because we eat healthy or because of good sanitation. Those things are part of the world we live in. But whether or not those things can be lessened or changed and the outcomes can be changed have a lot to do with how humans interact and what we think is important.
Well, we know that it's all about the good old capitalism. And speaking of capitalism, here we are. Gas prices have crossed $4 in every state. You know what I mean? So while we were sitting here hoping that I hope it go down, you're looking at the pump. It's like, okay, it's only 380 now. It's fucked up when you're looking at 380. and
up the block, up the block is 429 for where I live. I was like, it's 429. I got like 6 gallons and I stopped. I was like, I'm not doing no more.
Yeah.
I got one of my cars as a gas guzzler, so I'm like, I'm not doing no more right now. I need to get from A to B and whatever. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying it. I mean, it's been I mean, pretty much everywhere in Atlanta that I've seen, it's been at least on a minimum like 409. You know what I'm saying? And now they're talking about it's getting even crazier. So the thing is, between there's so many issues, and we know what's behind it. We know that it's greed. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately, it's enough food for everyone. It's enough medicine for everyone. It's enough homes for everyone. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, we live under this under this monstrous society. You know what I'm saying? That this government who is been on, you know, exploiting every form, every resource that they could possibly think of. And I'm glad, because I'm glad that you mentioned the climate, because that's one of the things that many activists outside of folks who particularly deal with that particular range. I mean that field, more or less, or that specialty. A lot of other activists aren't really, you know, on it when it comes to the planet. And it's like, we're talking about freeing political prisoners, and rightfully so. We're talking about stopping police terrorism, and rightfully so. But we have to protect the planet. And I think that, you know, I'm really just confused that humans are so fucked up that we're sitting by watching the planet implode, watching it destroy itself ultimately, because I mean, we're aiding it. And, you know, we're not going to have to worry about a lot of this stuff in a few. I'm predicting that in the next 10 years, you know, folks won't even be dealing with gas. I mean, as far as cars, I think that whole electric thing with folks like Elon Musk and all them coming around, you know, it's going to be a different type of road. But
I think the desire is ultimately to get off of gas, but since that is not here,
right?
And you know, we have to think about the sanctions on countries like Iran, the war in Iraq, obviously now Russia, Venezuela. So all of the places that produce gasoline, in particular without fracking, have been somewhat taken off the market, and because of foreign policy, right? Not necessarily because there's a shortage of gas. You know, I think there was a prediction, I remember a few years ago, when folks actually thought gas was going to be depleted, and prices had also gone up, and people were hoping that this was an opportunity, because of them going up, to start switching towards electric vehicles and other ways to sustain a better environment without using gas. But, you know, again, fracking came along, other nations, particularly OPEC, started pumping more gas. And so the realization was that, no, it wasn't necessarily that folks were running out of gas, but like you said, the hoarders of the system, and not just here in the United States, but the hoarders of gas were purposely letting prices go to a certain level and not letting it drop for profit, not for environmental concerns, but for profit-making concerns. And that same thing with the taking off of some countries kind of like out of the market. The United States has filled some of that gap, but still allows a certain amount of a lack of using its own reserves, which has also pushed gas prices up, and also these companies seeking maximum profit. So, you know, it's one of those things. Anytime we hear about something sort of going wrong, or a lack of something, we know that there's some company out there, and right now it's being shown that is making record profits. As the rest of us are paying $4 or $5 in California, my understanding that's all the way up to $6, $6 a gallon. That Exxon and the rest of them are making record profits, as the rest of us are pulling money out of our pocket that we don't have, and making choices around where we're going to go and what we're going to do, because the gas is so high, right?
And destroying the environment. Yeah. So what was that? I'm trying to remember. Was it the Carter administration, or was it Reagan, when they had the fake ass gas shortage and cars was
with Carter?
Okay.
Yeah. And people lost their minds because Carter got on TV and said, "Wear a sweater around your house. Turn your thermostat."
Right. But we remember that was the whole Iranian crisis, when they were trying to oust Ayatollah Khomeini and keep the Shah in power, and then the whole what was that? I was about to say kidnapping, the hostage situation.
The
Yeah, they had folks with the yellow ribbons and shit everywhere. And I remember I came home with a yellow ribbon. Man, that shit got slapped out the window so quick. I was like, look what they gave us in school.
Don't bring that propaganda in this house, boy.
Yeah, I learned quick though. It's like, fuck this ribbon. I ain't even want to tie my shoes. They slapped my damn hands so hard. Like, but yeah, man, it's like it's the same song and it's just a different cadence because right now Biden is making an effort to be a fake Jimmy Carter. You know what I'm saying? With the whole this is going on and so on and so forth. But he's taking it a step further because of the fact that with the whole black girl magic, he's like, I'm gonna put another black woman in there for you when shit get thick. Here's another black woman for you. You understand what I'm saying? It's a black woman, but she has to have a white counterpart. Now, I'm not, a white partner, and I just find that amazing that every last one of them, and I'm not tripping, do you? But my thing is like, is this the criteria? Is this what's going to save us? So it's like, on one hand, it's like, I'm going to keep the white folks happy because of the fact that, they're married to someone white, but I also got to keep black women happy by saying that, look, here's sister so-and-so, and we go crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's keeping the white folks happy that she got a white husband.
It's definitely not, but
I doubt that. Showing her what the politics are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like what the politics are. I want to be part of the elite, so therefore, I'm going to serve. I serve a particular role. You get the face without the politics, without any real revolutionary radical politics, of course.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt.
Now, I wanted to bring up another story though. We got something I think we've talked about in the past. But there has been another study around black farmers, and it says black farmers in the U.S. lost $326 billion worth of land in the 20th century, and so the story is this essentially around the growing exodus of land in the hands of black farmers, and so the part I wanted to get to is down here where it says. Stats from the USDA agricultural census show black farmers peaked in 1910 at 16 to 19 million acres. Now, 4.7 million acres are owned by black farmers. That's less than 1% of all farmland. And so really quickly, that's the most important part. So the idea that we control any aspect of how food is distributed, not only amongst our community, but the larger population, we just have no control over food supply. And even the land that we have, or that black farmers have, for the most part, it just goes into standard, regular sort of capitalist ecosystem. So it's not like it's doing anything for the larger black community.
Yeah, and just the fact that on the other side of that, conversely, who owns most of the farmland in the United States? Bill Gates. Bill Gates is the largest farmland owner in this country. Why? Why is that? What does a tech giant need with farmland?
And Bill Gates and Ted Turner. You know what I'm saying? Ted Turner has a major stake in the joint as well.
And with Ted Turner, as much as I despise him, because I do despise him, but at least he gave the cover of I'm trying to save the buffalo. Remember that when he bought all this land to save the buffalo, and then he opened these restaurants where he served buffalo meat.
Yeah, we're right here in Atlanta. He has Ted Turner Boulevard. He has all these restaurants and all this type of stuff. But when you say the tech giant, then you have a communication mogul, so on and so forth. All of this shit is game. This is about power. You know what I'm saying? It's a question of power, and we're not understanding that. So the thing is, with this land, we should watch closely to see what they intend on doing with it. How many more cop cities are going to be made? How many more military compounds and Area 51s and all this type shit will sprout up? That land is not just for the sake of being good Americans. You know what I'm saying? It's like I get concerned. Will it be a killing field? Will it be a slave breaking plantation. I mean, you know, it's so much. I mean, they have like so many. I mean, what is like millions of acres of land? I mean, it's like it's insane.
Yeah, and when I think of people like Bill Gates owning all this farmland, I think of what Thomas Sankara said about imperialism. I talk about imperialism all of the time because I'm an anti-imperialist, and I'm a Pan-Africanist. But we don't understand that imperialism impacts us in this country also. And I think the fact that Bill Gates owns nearly all of the farmland in this country is a good example of that, because Thomas Sankara said, if you want to know what imperialism looks like, look at the food on your plate. And the rice is imported. The food that we eat is not grown by local farms. It's not grown by small farm owners that transport their produce to a local market. No, it's grown in these industrial agribusinesses with GMO seeds that you cannot use to regrow another crop of food. You might get one extra crop out of it, but the second one you won't, because they're designed to not do that. So that you're forced to buy this big corporation's food or buy this big corporation's seeds.
Right.
Because you can't buy a green pepper from the grocery store, take the seeds out of the green pepper, put them in the ground, and get a sustainable 5 years of crops out of those, 75 seeds in that green pepper.
Right. But along with that though, Jackie, think about what it's doing to your body.
That
You
too.
understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
We talk about illnesses and sicknesses and all this type of stuff. What is it doing to your body? You know, I mean, to me, it's amazing that we've arrived at a place on this planet where we don't know where our food comes from. You know what I'm saying?
Or what's put in the food to make it grow the way it is.
Yeah, but I mean, but think about it. It's like I mean, you can name a gang of folks who you wouldn't eat their cooking, you wouldn't go to their house to eat, so on and so forth. But these are the folks who work in these food production warehouses. These are the folks who work in these GMO farming houses and growing the chickens and the fish, the in these man-made ponds and I mean, this shit is crazy, and it's like we've accepted it as the norm. I mean, you should definitely support local farmers because at least you know where what you have is coming from. And it's insane for us to trust a people who are willing to give you anything, and as long as you can consume it. You know what I'm saying? It's not about any health qualities. It's not about you advancing. I mean, just think about it. Just like a lot of these juices, you got they tell you it's strawberry juice, but then you look on the thing, it says no fruit in it, no juice in it. I mean, what type of shit is that? You got red juice, purple juice, blue juice, and we consume the shit like it's food. Yeah, and it's like but we're talking about fighting capitalism. You won't even fight what you put in your body. So I mean, it's supposed to be that way. Anyway, we got the ear to the doctor. He got some wax. You know what I'm saying? To drop on us.
Is he in heaven again?
Man.
Hey, I'm out here.
Why do they keep letting you back in there?
I don't know.
I never left.
I think they redesigned hell. That's what's really going on.
like capitalism is a marketing campaign.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yo, speaking of red dyes, red 40, peace to the guys in Earths, because without them, I wouldn't have started looking at labels and stuff, because it was back in hip hop music talking about the red 40s and the dyes and stuff. You can't because of swine and pork. So big up to them. Started my consciousness of what I put in my body out. So that's all. Now, let's go ahead and get to this next break real quick. Right about here, right about now. Let's go. again, welcome out, y'all. Welcome out, y'all. This is the RemiX Morning Show. And at this time, I wanted to go ahead and give y'all a little mix for you and yours out there. Big up to Malcolm X. Let's get it.
Resurrection. We believe that the so-called Negroes are most in need of mental resurrection. Therefore, they will be resurrected first. We believe in the resurrection of the dead, but not when you physically dead. When you stop breathing and your heart stops beating, and that means you in the ground, that's all she wrote. And our people are dead. Negroes are dead. Walk in now. You're the one that the book is talking about who is dead. Dead to the knowledge of yourself. Dead to the knowledge of your own people. Dead to the knowledge of yourself. Dead to the knowledge of yourself. Dead to the knowledge of yourself. Dead to the knowledge of your own people. Dead to the knowledge of your own God. Dead to the knowledge of the devil. Why, you don't even know who the devil is. You think the devil is someone down inside the ground that's going to burn you after you're dead. Why, the devil is right here on top of this earth. He got blue eyes.
All right, that's what it is right here. Don't forget to tune in this Sunday. We going live right at Malcolm X Park. So tune in. Now let's take you back to our host right here on the RemiX Morning Show. All right. Yeah.
Malcolm. Still, I don't know if I could have joined the nation though. The spaceship thing. I'm back on that spaceship thing. That would threw me off.
I couldn't do the suits.
I love Malcolm. I would have. Yeah. Go ahead.
I couldn't do the suits and bow ties every day.
I look good in the bow. I look good in the bow.
Covered head to toe. I can't do that. No.
But when I hear Malcolm preach, I would have been down. But then I would have had a question about the spaceship.
So let's talk about the spaceship again. How important is this to me?
See, I thought the spaceship was only in the Nubians. It's also in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is it.
What you rolling your eyes for, son? You saying there's no spaceship in the nation? Ideology? 4 to 5%?
At least it used to be.
You trying to am I not spitting facts?
Shout out to all the brothers and sisters out there that's doing the work that they're doing.
Hopefully they have disavowed.
I'm not getting into all that.
Kalanji won't talk about. He won't. If he can't say nothing about 5%ers or nothing about.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good.
You leave that shit alone.
Yo,
like,
listen.
I know too much 5%ers out there. Nothing about the spaceship.
Listen, man, I ain't, I ain't fucking with y'all. I'm just.
I
don't hold it against them. I mean, I appreciate that they thought of an escape plan at some point from here.
Y'all cats is cold, boy. Y'all colder than the white man. Hey, but on the real, shout out to Malcolm. You know what I'm saying? Our shining prince. And for folks out there, we have some very essential interviews here at BPM that you all should check out. That we've done in past productions on from I Mix What I Like to Renegade Culture. We have Riot Starter. I have a couple joints that we did with Peter Goldman and Paul Lee, and also Zach Kondo. So definitely, check out them joints, because a lot of times we have our ideas and our thoughts of El Hajj Malik Shabazz, and then you have other people who actually knew him and studied, him extensionally. So we really need to, hop on when you get a chance, man. Definitely support that. And also, as someone pointed out, shout out to the May 19th Communist Coalition, who put in a lot of work as well, white left folks. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Yuri was a part of that at one point. I know it was mainly members of the Weather Underground, but shout out to them as well for what.
Shout out to Dr. Ball and Todd Stephen Burrows for the lie of reinvention, correcting Manny Marable's book on Malcolm, which was gave opportunity for folks who everything from folks who studied Malcolm to, again, people who worked with Malcolm, to say that the version of Malcolm that Manning Marable and or those around Manning Marable, some said he didn't really work on the book because of his illness during the last few years, but who fought against the narrative that the New York Times wanted to put out, that mainstream colleges wanted to put out, of shifting Malcolm towards civil rights and shifting Malcolm towards somebody who would have supported Barack Obama and shifting Malcolm on his militancy. And so I think that book and other things that have been done have really tried to fight back and keep Malcolm's legacy where it belongs, in the streets, amongst radicals, understanding his politics, and Malcolm's organizing. People never ever really talk about Malcolm as an organizer. And Malcolm
Yes.
might have been one of the greatest organizers to ever exist, somebody who helped take a, relatively speaking, ragtag organization and made it into a national organization, an international organization, by hitting the streets, by talking to everyday people, by rapping with folks, by developing programs, by getting people to believe in ideological purposes and means, and challenging the standard bearers of the day to talk about that was what they were speaking was not the truth, and we can challenge that, and we can build, and we can organize. And it's for those reasons, even after Malcolm left the nation and was building again, that the government collaborated and killed Malcolm. And so it's always important to remember that Malcolm was killed not because he was some great orator, but because he was a great organizer of Black people for self-determination.
And I want to point out as well that, one of the things I heard Malcolm talk about was where he got his speech pattern from, which ultimately the nation got theirs from. He actually said he used to listen to hours and hours of Paul Robeson. So shout out to Paul Robeson. But also, I want to say, check out, shout out to Dr. James Smalls as well, Professor Smalls. He was one of Malcolm's youngest students. And after Malcolm was assassinated, he became the first imam with the Muslim Mosque Incorporated situation. And also other folks we know, Baba Herman Ferguson, who's an ancestor who you will find in organizing is the new cool. Muhammad Ahmed, Max Stanford or Muhammad Ahmed told me a story, and we may put it in the doc as well. And I think it's on one of the interviews if you check into the BPM archives. He talked about how in sometime in the early 60s, I believe, there was a situation where there were white folks that had a construction company, and all the construction contracts were going to them in Philadelphia. And him and some of his comrades went out protesting, and they were attacked and locked up. So they asked Muhammad Ahmed, they said, or who was Max Stanford at the time. And if you don't know this brother, you need to definitely look into him. But one of the things he talked about was how when they locked him up, they said, who do you want to call? You get your little one phone call thing. So he said he called Temple number 7 in Harlem, which was, the mosque up in Harlem or whatever. And he asked to speak to Minister Malcolm. And he said he talked to Malcolm, and that he told Malcolm that, he needed some support down there in Philly. And, as far as, with this organization and whatnot. And at the time, Malcolm was going through what he was going through. So he said, I can't really send FOI down there in uniform, but I can send some folks to you. Now, according to Muhammad Ahmed, he said that Malcolm sent 30,000 brothers from all over the country to this particular
30,000.
That's what he said. I have it on record, on tape, and I said just what you just said. 30,000. You know what I'm saying? Now, and I've spoken to a couple different people that had confirmed it. And you would ask, the logical question would be, well, why wouldn't this be on the news? Why would it be?
Why would
because
it be?
That would be against what the plan was. The plan was to not show any uprisings. They were forced to show things once Dr. King was assassinated, because of the fact that it was obvious. You couldn't hide that, so you couldn't contain the pain and the just the energy that was in the air, because Black folks, they was like, look, if you assassinate Malcolm was one thing, but assassinating Dr. King was a whole nother level, because here's a cat that you was talking about that was traditionally going along with the whole nonviolent type situation, So, but shout out to Malcolm, and I agree what Kamal was saying. One of the things that really got me into wanting to speak was just seeing and listening to Malcolm with his soapbox orator style and just on the corners, just being out in the streets. To me, that was always the most powerful thing about Malcolm, his ability to go out and organize in the streets and then to transform himself. Because you look at folks like him and George Jackson, you know, they were the ultimate freedom fighters, because they, you know, for some folks, they think it's a myth that you can organize, you know, or resurrect the God quality in you when you fell to such a low level, because of the fact that Malcolm, when you talk about Detroit Red and El Hajj Malik Shabazz, that transformation, we got to remember, number one, he was 39 when he was assassinated, but number two, he was only Malcolm or El Hajj Malik Shabazz 12 years or less. You know what I mean? So the impact that he had from in those 12 years has affected us, I mean, decades later.
Yeah, 50 years post his assassination. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jackie.
No, you go ahead, Kamal.
No, I was going to say, like, individually, you know, I think the greatest influence in terms of politicizing me, in terms of the politics I have, is from reading Malcolm. Malcolm is like the basis of radicalizing somebody like me to sort of put your environment and where you come from in connection to how the world works, right? So why is it that your neighborhood is suffering from the lack thereof of healthy food or access to good education or jobs, and even the violence, the horizontal violence that affects or impacts our community? So it was reading Malcolm that got me to even think through that kind of stuff, and come up with answers that the state doesn't want you to come up with, right? The state wants you to come up with people that are fighting each other or tearing each other down because they're ignorant. They don't know no better. And the solution to it is in prison, right? It was reading Malcolm that got you to look at why the conditions we face are the way they are. So I, always the speeches again, getting to talk to some people who worked with Malcolm, getting to meet Yuri and going to her apartment in Manhattan, in the projects that she lived in, even when she knew it was the same, if I remember correctly, it might have been the same apartment that she lived in even during the 60s, that I guess 25 years later, when someone like me got to meet her, surrounded by documents of her times as being a part of the organization of Afro-American Unity, Malcolm's organization post the nation, and her stories about his importance and so forth and so on. So just getting to talk to folks, people like Peter Bailey, getting to talk to him, Barbara Herman also. So all of that stuff really just fused the development. And again, realizing that even when Malcolm was assassinated, Malcolm was a nationalist. That folks try to tell you otherwise, again, but Malcolm was a nationalist, an evolving nationalist, a left-wing nationalist in some senses, not yet necessarily someone who would describe himself as a socialist, but definitely anti-capitalist. But Malcolm was about, first and foremost, how self-determination for his people was the most important thing, and that unless we as Black folks were free, nobody would be free, and that we had a right to not only demand our freedom, but to get that freedom through any and all mechanisms, and nothing short of what others have used to get their freedom, their liberation. So that's something that always stuck with me in terms of even the propaganda system that tries to tell us how we are supposed to do things, why we're supposed to do things, the proper way to do things. It was people like Malcolm, not Malcolm alone, but people like Malcolm who put forth the ideas that when your enemy is telling you how to fight, you already lost.
And shout out to Yuri as well, because you mentioned Yuri, and I used to visit her in San Francisco in the Bay. You know what I'm saying? I would see her every year during Black August. And like you said, her collection of, she saved everything, but not like a hoarder. You know what I'm saying? She had her shit was
a little
organized.
hoardish. It was a little hoardish.
maybe in Harlem. I think she kind of maybe she, during that move to California, she might couldn't have took all that stuff with her. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, she had comrades who was 8 years old. That's my age. This is a picture he drew when he stayed at my house. And I'm like, damn. Wow. You know what I'm saying? But she and again, it is her born date again, and she's an example of when you talk about solidarity. This is a woman who is an Asian woman. This is a woman who was when they was in an internment camp and the whole nine. You know what I mean? So her legacy and her work and her value is often underrated as well. So definitely shout out to Yuri as well. What's happening? Good, Kim in the building.
Kim,
what's going on?
Okay. Fucking Verizon turned off my Wi-Fi, so I'm on the cellular on my cell phone.
Okay.
Wonder why I look like you was down the street.
I know, like a different look.
You got the OnlyFans camera going on. What's happening?
You're being too loud.
I gotta log out on that one.
You're being too loud, Jack.
Let me stop.
Goodbye.
Let me stop playing.
I mean, speaking of monkeypox, speaking of monkeypox,
that was dirty. But anyway,
you know what? One thing that I think that the thing about Malcolm that I appreciated, maybe not the most, but one of the things that I really, really appreciated was his ability to use his faith and use it in the struggle for regular people. I mean, that's a part of Malcolm's legacy that I think people stay away from, which is kind of weird because that was a part of his own transformation. That was why and how he became transformed, and it was through his ministry in the Nation of Islam that he became the Malcolm that we know him as. But he didn't just limit his radical movement or organizing to the Nation of Islam. He also connected with radical folks of other faiths, and I'm particularly thinking of Albert Cleage, who was the founder of the Pan-African, I had to look it up because I always get it wrong, the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church,
which we know better as the Shrine of the Black Madonna.
The Shrine of the Black Madonna, still in existence. Albert Cleage was I guess he was, I won't say the founder, but he was the person who I guess nationalized or made prominent the idea of Jesus as a revolutionary. Wrote a whole book about it called Black Nationalism or Christian Black Nationalism. I wrote 2 books, and I think they're on the shelf over here. And Malcolm had a lot of respect for Cleage. Cleage had a lot of respect for Malcolm. So you have these 2 faith leaders who were radical in their organizing, and their organizing was directed at the working class and the poor people in their neighborhoods. This was not, some, high level, classist kind of bourgeois type of, NAACP, the talented 10th type of organizing in faith circles, which is usually what organizing looks like in faith circles. That is just the honest to God truth. But Malcolm and Cleage and folks like them were very separate from that, suit and tie kind of, luncheon type of NAACP, Jack and Jill kind of fundraiser organizing. They were in the streets. We talked to the people, and they weren't talking to the people in order to proselytize to them about, you need to save your soul and, you need to follow this religion. But their faith was a part of their organizing and their radicalization and their desire to save their people from this system. So, excuse me, for me, that was always a part of Malcolm's legacy that I felt was so important, and that I wish that we could get back to today, because you can't tell me that the church and the mosques are still not some of the most fertile grounds for organizing among our people today. We're not going to have the kind of a mass uprising, mass organizing that we need unless we organize people of faith. And I understand those of us who are radical people of faith, we need to struggle with those folks. But we cannot leave people of faith out of this work that we need to do to organize our people. Because, I mean, the legacy of Malcolm X, the person of Malcolm X, I think just speaks to that being just a ridiculous idea. We have to organize people of faith also.
And that's why Imam Jamil is a political prisoner today, because of his work that he did right here in Atlanta. Formerly H. Rap Brown, you know what I'm saying? Former chairman of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the former honorary minister of justice for the Black Panther Party. Okay. The work that he did in the West End of Atlanta was phenomenal, you know. And to me, when we talk about the closest person I would say to a Malcolm alive today, I would say would be Imam Jamil Al-Amin. And that's because of his him being steadfast, him being able to move from advance his politic. I think the thing that where we make the grave mistake is that we throw the baby away with the bathwater. You know what I'm saying? My position is what you eat don't make me shit. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you're into, that's what you're into. I'm interested in what points of unity can we have? What is it that we can do together to advance and crush these motherfuckers? That's my particular position. It's not about how you pray. It's not about whether you think you came from a slave ship or a spaceship. You know what I'm saying? We all in the same shit regardless. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, we have to be able to, as you said, the church, the mosque, and the street organizations, you know, these are all groups that are already organized to a degree. With proper political education and proper training and an understanding of who their true enemy is, that's when we win. You understand what I'm saying? Because all the things that we want that we talk about in organizing, because sometimes as organizers, we become elitists. There's a whole lot of elitism in this shit because of the fact that we automatically think that we know every fucking thing. We don't know shit, because if you can't organize 20, 30 people and get them on board, if you can't organize 50, 100 people and get them on board, it sounds good in theory. But in practice, what does that mean in the real world? You know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily about numbers, you know, in regards to winning the war. You know, Fidel proved that. But it's about having the right people. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that they talk about in Islam, if you got 10 people that are down, that are really down, then you have more than most. Most people that I know don't have 10 truly down people. Because see, the thing is, when you talking about revolution, certain shit, the contradictions, are going to have contradictions. That's what comes with war. You understand what I'm saying? When you're dealing with an oppressed people, you're going to run into different walls and so on and so forth. You're going to have struggles, because that's what it entails. But when you're able to have 10 people that are down regardless, you understand what I'm saying? Who can work around your contradictions, their contradictions, and understand and know the difference between a comrade and a friend, then you have more than most. You know what I'm saying? But most of us don't have 10 people that are absolutely down. But anyway, I know the ear doctor's coming up, so I ain't want to just.
Can I circle back to something that Jackie mentioned real quick?
Yeah.
Jackie spoke about, obviously, the Black Christian church and how a lot of organizing struggles were fermented there and won there. But I feel as though the modern day, 21st century Black church, Black Christian church specifically, kind of sees itself, some aspects of it, as an extension of the Democratic organizing party, right?
Yeah.
Black preachers allow their pulpits to be utilized in order to get out the vote. You know what I'm saying? For Democrats, though, souls to the polls is something that Black churches are used for in order to turn out vote for the Democrats. So how can we convince our church leaders, our faith leaders, that us organizing on behalf of this particular political party is perhaps not the best strategic move that we need to do in order to advance the conditions of people overall? Because we've already seen that voting blue, no matter who, gets us the shit that we are in right now.
I'm so glad you asked that question, Kim Brown. Because I mean, I try not to talk about stuff that I'm not involved in, and that is exactly the struggle I'm involved in. I am an organizer. I'm a Pan-Africanist. I'm an anti-imperialist. I'm an internationalist, and I'm also the moderator of my church. I am a Christian. I believe in the brown Palestinian radical enemy of the state, Jesus Christ, who was a socialist and executed by the state. So I believe that the radical Jesus Christ that Albert Cleage talked about. But the church I belong to, even though it is progressive, they are still very much on that we've got to vote for the Democrats tip. And I'm engaged in a struggle right now, me and the pastor, who, thank God, is radical as well. That dude will get arrested at a protest faster than I will, probably. And he actually has been. And so we're engaged in this struggle in our church about pushing people beyond their allegiance to the Democratic Party. Because every time we have webinars or teach-ins and I bring up how crappy the Democratic Party actually is, I always get pushback from certain people in the church. Well, why are you talking about the Democrats? You should be talking about the Republicans. And this is the kind of struggle that you have to engage in with people. Yeah. And I am engaged in these struggles. I have to tell these people point by point, this is what the Democratic Party has done under Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. These are the things that Biden has not changed from Trump's policies. These are the things he's made worse that Trump didn't do. And this is, also the Democrats' long history of selling our people out for these votes that we keep giving them. Mm-hmm. These conversations are not always going to result in people opening their, the scales falling from their eyes, right? And having that Damascus Road moment and saying, fuck the Democratic Party. That's right. We're socialists. Might not happen all the time, but there are inroads to be made where people may still hold their personal view of, well, I'm still going to vote for the Democrats, but now they are more open to allowing the church to be used as a place of organization for radical groups of people. They're more open to hearing from more younger organizers who want to talk about these issues with their elders in the religious community. So that's how I see it. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to get everybody in my church to, always be on the front line with me and other people we are organizing with, but I can convince them to move. I can convince them to move out of the way. That's sometimes the best that we can hope for some of these folks. We can convince them to move out of the way and provide some support in the background for those of us who are on the front lines. And I think that's the way it looks, at least from my perspective, in real life. And there along the way, there are some folks who are opening up their eyes and realizing the sham that the Democratic Party is, particularly in this moment with all of this money being spent on this war. That's the next teach-in we're having next month. The cost of war and what it means in real life, that the Democratic Party is sending $40 billion to Ukraine, but COVID relief is cut. But student loan debt is not canceled, that there's no affordable housing. And so, yeah, people are that it's a struggle, but it's a struggle that has to be entered into, and you're going to win some people of faith, to radical organizing, and you're going to convince some people to get the hell out of the way so that we can use the resources of the church.
Let's get the hell out the way for the ear doctor to come on. He's been waiting to do his break for a little bit.
All right.
Ear doctor.
Okay, fine.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, I was enjoying the story. How many apostles you got down with you, Jesse?
What?
I might you got down with Christianity. I might jump back in now.
I thought you said how many possums you got with you.
Bruce said he's an apostle, but
Apostle Brucey.
He's the apostle of biting. That's
Apostle Brusky. Yeah.
That's right.
Brusky in the building.
Well, let's take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. All right. Welcome out once again to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and right now we're going to do an artist spotlight. What artist did I choose to spotlight today? No other than what some would label the queen of rap. Who is that? No other than the one they call Missy Elliott, a.k.a. Miss Demeanor, a.k.a. Melissa Arnett Elliott. That's right. Another one of the best female rappers out of Virginia. That's right, out of Portsmouth, Virginia, VA. Well, pretty much she is a singer, songwriter, record producer. One of the best. She started off back in the mid-90s with a group called Sister. She got discovered by Devontae from Jodeci while they was coming and singing backstage. They wound up working with them and bringing them up to New York and starting a whole production writing team, which included Genuine, Tweet, Timberland, and all them. So she first dropped her, she pretty much also worked with Aaliyah, SWV. We're talking about Pharrell. She came through a whole production crew that did their thing. She came out with her debut album back in 1997, Super Duper Fly, which had billboards popping, top 200 billboards, highest charting debut for a female rapper at the time. Then she came out with The Real World that had songs like She's a Bitch and My Grill, Hot Boys, which stayed on the charts for a long time. Then she released Missy E So Addictive, Under Construction, This Is Not a Test. She got like 4 Grammy Awards, Grammy for Best Female Solo Performance. And listen, she's been doing her thing for a while. She started off coming and dealing with an abusive father that had her and her mom move out and find refuge at another spot in Virginia. So she didn't come from the richest parents. Actually, she was dealing with a lot of poverty at that time, but she made it. She strived through and she pushed forward. She got to work with some of the best. She did some philanthropy. She worked with MAC Cosmetics, different corporations to give back. One for the AIDS Fund. She also did one with ABC's Extreme Makeover, where she gave out scholarships for weight loss programs for underprivileged teens. She's been working and putting in work and giving back. And as you can see, she also did albums. She also has been in films. We talk about Pootie Tang, Honey, Shark Tale. And then she's done TV also. We're talking about Star, Family Matters, the Wayans Brothers. She did her thing for a while. So we got to give it up to one of the best rappers, not just female rappers and visual people that started a whole new trend when it comes to making videos doper. I mean, she even got a Michael Jackson Icon Award for how dope her videos is. So that is Missy Elliott, in case you didn't know. Just a lot of brothers in the industry give her mad props. Lil Wayne says she's top 5 MC of all. That's it for Missy Elliott. It's the spotlight right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's get back to it. Let's do it.
Can you name the movies again she was in?
She was in some. She did some.
No. Name the movies. Name the movies.
You said name the movies?
Yeah. What's those movies?
She was in Honey. She was in. I know that was your favorite. Shark Tale. She was in Pootie Tang. Come on, man. Some of the best movies ever.
No, classics.
No,
classics.
no. I need you to say Portsmouth
Okay.
Portsmouth.
because it ain't Portsmouth.
Who said Portsmouth?
You
My Lord.
Can I say something real quick about Missy Elliott?
Yeah,
Can you bring the mic a little closer to you, Kim?
I know you look like you on punishment, Kim. Let me just say that, but go ahead.
You say y'all can't hear me?
Well,
No, we hear you.
get to the mic.
Get closer to the mic.
There is no mic. This is my cell phone. I'm on the.
Oh,
I'm gonna go home. You know what?
No. Go ahead. We can hear you.
I'm going to watch TV. I'm going to watch Judge Mathis. Bye.
what about Missy?
What you gonna say?
Real quick about Missy. So Missy is one of those dope MCs that people. She's so awesome. She's almost invisible to the extent that I've heard a lot of rap fans, particularly male rap fans, praise Missy because she does not use sexuality and sexual content in her lyrics. And that is false. Okay, Missy was always upfront about her sexuality. Is it worth it? Let me work it. Put my game down, flip it, and reverse it. And the reason why a lot of brothers look at Missy and don't think that she's using her sexuality or rapping about sexual content is because she's dark skinned. She was overweight. They didn't view her sexually. I'm like, y'all never actually listened to Missy's lyrics, did you? Because,
yeah.
Always talk about sex.
Kim, get your pronouns right. Ain't no y'all.
That's right.
We checked out Missy. What you talking about?
Oh, come on. See, that's the thing. Come on. See, when I say you and y'all, I'm not referring to anybody specifically. It is the general.
I'm just talking junk, man. Don't trip. Yeah.
I don't know about that, Kim. I think we realized even when we was talking about who would do a versus, the only one we thought could go against Busta Rhymes was Missy Elliott.
Busta Rhymes.
What are you talking about?
That was going around for a while when they was talking about who would go against Busta Rhymes, and Busta Rhymes even said he was like, Missy Elliott is about the only one that could go back and forth when he was talking to Swiss.
Yeah, I think Busta Rhymes is overestimating his ability just a tad there because for one, Missy ain't just an MC. Missy's pen and production catalog is strong and deep out here. So I need to see somebody comparably matched with Missy, and Busta ain't it.
And Busta ain't it?
What?
No,
Busta can flip, son. What's wrong with you?
When we talk about videos and flipping flows,
don't you talk bad about Busta.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of their style, the style of their flow, the artistic nature of their videos. He was the only one, I think, of male rappers who I felt was comparable to what the kind of art that Missy Elliott produced, particularly in her videos. Now, production and all this kind of stuff that I don't know. Look, I told you I was a metalhead, so I know way more about metal than I know about hip hop and rap. Sorry, but I mean, Busta was the only one who I think could. Yeah,
I think Busta's very underrated too. I mean, Busta. I mean, you talking about going from leaders. You talking about from leaders of the new school to I don't know what y'all just said.
Kim was getting not Kim. I'm sorry. Jackie was getting pervy. My bad.
Getting pervy with you?
No, not with me, with Busta. She's like, he got his weight up.
I'm not here for that. Yeah, but I mean, and like you said, those videos are like movies. You know what I'm saying? And also we have to look at these guys for their longevity as well.
Totally.
I give it to him for that because every time he comes out is quality. Now, LL's been in the game for years, but his shit is ibby dibby. He's confused. He don't know what the hell he want to do. You know what I'm saying? That shit he did with the white boy, the country singer, talking about if you forgive
my chain.
My gold chains will forget your some crazy shit. But my do-rag will forgive your Confederate flag, all kinds of stupid shit. Oh my god. Yeah, that's your.
You gotta look that up, Jackie. That I don't even know if they have that on there. What was that name of that song? Was it called Accidental Racist or something ridiculous?
Accidental Racist, yeah.
I don't think I want to do that.
I mean, it's the most horrible song in the history of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? God. I mean, I'm surprised folks even still pay attention to that dude. But yeah, definitely Missy is a genius with her work. She's super talented, and you know, she's definitely underrated. She was the only one in her crew that could rap, because Magoo and what's the other
Magoo.
Yeah, Magoo. I know he's called himself Magoo.
You sound like a bootleg Q-tip. But my last thing on Missy before I get out of here. Yeah, she wasn't the most lyrical, but her flow is impeccable when it comes to how she flows, and one of the only sisters that's out here producing when it comes to that. So she's in a league of her own. But
when you say lyrical, do you mean her range of like things she rapped about? What do you mean?
More like content.
Yeah, that's what. Okay.
Yeah. More like content. Some people got different. Like Busta got content. He got flow, and I'm not trying to go put them.
Busta have content,
right?
Yeah, he's done.
What's Busta's content?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, check out the song he did with Stevie Wonder. He got different songs that he has content on.
Ain't nobody heard that song, B.
Yeah, I'm sure you haven't.
Ain't nobody heard that song. He does have content though. Biggie has content.
I'm out.
My bad.
I'm about to leave too.
I still wanted him to say Portsmouth.
What did he say?
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth.
Y'all leave a man Ed Doctor alone, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all cold-blooded, man. Treat that man like that. Ed Doctor, I'm with you today, brother. Okay.
Yo, it's spelled Portsmouth.
Came back for that.
Not Portsmouth.
Ed Doctor, I tried to help you, and you gonna come back. Get your
That's why.
I gotta tell you what you said.
That's why when y'all keep defending this English language, I'm gonna fight back. It's spelled Portsmouth. I'm out of here.
Portsmouth.
You defending the English language by pronouncing it phonetically, my guy.
Listen,
You defending the English language
that brother,
single-handedly.
that brother has an African studies degree. He can say whatever he want to say.
From Brown.
Morris,
as he's like
Morris, that is.
Morris.
Y'all crazy, man. Leave that man alone, man. We were talking about organized before y'all lost your minds. But you know, and I know we talked about the church, and you know, I think that one of the things we have to be responsible for the movement of the church, because I think that one of the things that we forget, many of us who have been organizing for decades, we cannot front. We've held so many town hall meetings and so many strategy meetings in churches, primarily because of the fact that most of these folks, when we talk about organizing, most organized organizations don't even have an organizational headquarters. You know what I'm saying? So we have to go to the church to for assistance in organizing. You know what I'm saying? And you know, to Jackie's point, when you are talking about the whole Democratic Party situation, one of the tools that should be used is, since folks are handcuffed to electoral politics, push them towards local politics, because all politics are local. Push them towards local politics and run your own people. You understand what I'm saying? You know, that should be a strategy within every organization in every county. You should make sure that you have someone that we can get behind and say, this is who we want on city council. This is what we want to be the alderman or over the school board or whatever the situation is. Because either way, whether we in it or not, it's going to impact us on the local level.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, that would be my 2 cents on that.
And if you look at the right wing, that's exactly what they've been doing over the past 2 years, especially in Northern Virginia. They ran all their far right wing extremist candidates who wanted to ban so-called critical race theory and get rid of masking mandates in school. That's exactly what they've done. And then they got their governor elected. So if they can do it, we can do it. Fuck them.
And this is something I've been telling people about, the way the right has out-organized us, not just in the past 2 years, Kim, but the past 20 years.
Yes.
And honestly, since you know, before Obama was elected, when he was a candidate, what did they do? What did those crazy racist ass Tea Party people do? They started having these little meetings in these small towns, in these little small 2-3 crazy white people show up, but they started having meetings in their churches. I went to a church in Northern Virginia where Barack Obama was a candidate, And these people all of a sudden went from preaching about Jesus, all of a sudden they in the pulpit talking about politics. It was that quick. So if we see that there is one, if our enemy is not afraid of using the church as an organizing tool, what's our problem? These people are not, these people ain't religious. And
They're
even
not.
and even if they are, they understood that the church is where, especially a church full of white folks, that's where that was fertile organizing ground for them. They were willing to invest the time and the energy that was required to go and talk to these people and convince them that the black guy was about to destroy America, right? So I have never been able to understand why people who are radical, who are revolutionary, who want better for our people, especially working class and poor black folks, particularly the masses, are y'all really that hung up on some Jesus that you don't want to organize with other working class and poor black folks who need that radical? What is really?
Yeah,
I think it goes both ways though.
Jesus.
Hold on, let me real quick. But we can't overlook the role that astroturfing played in those organizations. The Koch brothers funded these organizations. Sheldon Adelson funded that right wing organization movement. We don't have such benefactors. We don't have.
But that wasn't true from the beginning, though. That funding came after that organizing took off. They literally started at the church pancake breakfast, at little holding little meetings, at little tent that looked like little tent revivals with 5, 10, 15 people. They weren't funded immediately in the beginning with their organizing by Adelson. Once they started growing these organizations, that's when they started to get the funding. And I mean, look, I'm not, opposed. I'm not willing to waste time with people who want to make organizing in churches and around churches or with people of faith about what people believe. Believe what you want to believe. I'm with Kalanji on this. You believe whatever it is you want to believe. If you think Christianity is the most ignorant thing on the planet, and that's cool. But if that is going to keep you from organizing with people who need to know what the system is and how they can fight it, then the problem is you. It's not Christianity.
Right.
The problem is you.
People are narrow. Our people are narrow, but these will be the same people when someone is shot. You know what I'm saying? When someone's murdered or whatever, you're not checking to see whether they were members of a church. You're not checking to see whether, what their affiliation was, whether they was an atheist, whatever the case is. You're like, yo, this is fucked up. The state has murdered these people, whatever, so on and so forth. But we have to be more savvy in our organizing efforts. We have to be able to be a tad bit sharper, because if we're only organizing folks who think they know already, then we're wasting our time. Because like right now, take Black Power Media, for instance. Right now we're at 17.1 on the subscribers tip, right? That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Now imagine if we turn this into a collective organizing tool like we're attempting to do. And imagine if all the people who support us actually said, listen, we're going to come up with some strategies and we're going to carry them out. We're all going to decide that we're going to boycott such and such. We're all going to decide that we're going to create a mass call in to CNN or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? We don't use the collective power that we have. We use it for entertainment purposes only. You know what I'm saying? And to say, well, I disagree. I don't believe that. And I don't think that such. I mean, that's great. But at the end of the day, what points of unity can we have beyond just looking at us on the screen? You understand what I'm saying? Where do we work together? Where do those grounds? Where do we tie all that in? Because ultimately, that's what has to happen. Not we just have a bunch of numbers for the sake of numbers. You know what I'm saying? What do we do with it? We're not a broke community. We get the things that we need. We get the things that we want, rather. You know what I mean? So we don't need the Koch brothers or whoever the hell else. We can fund our own shit. And when we get the resources, those of us that do get them, we have to hold them accountable. You can't be spending so many millions on bullshit or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And giving your baby daddy so many millions of dollars and all that bullshit. We have to be able to come with some level of accountability. And when we do that, then we'll win. But just complaining about what white folks is doing and what the state is doing, that's not a victory. We already know these motherfuckers are ruthless. We already know they're evil. We're reporting, really, to be honest with you, we could talk about shit from 10 years ago tomorrow, and it'd be the same news with different names. You know what I'm saying? Different names and different faces. The same shit over and over again. But how do we get out of this conundrum? That's the ultimate.
Yeah, I wanted to switch up a little bit with our last 10 minutes for a quick a story about Bush, because we spoke a little bit about the past. And Bush spoke recently and apparently had a little slip. So I want to play that and get folks' reaction to it.
Shout out to Bush.
Bush.
Are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated.
Wait a minute. Let me play that.
In contrast, Russian elections are rigged. Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process. The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia, and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine.
That's my point right there.
You got a rock on the brain.
Yeah.
No, but it's the thing. It's like I said, it's the same news over and over. He forgot the script. You know what I'm saying? He already had the script memorized. He's spitting some shit out. I bet if we go back into his tapes, he already did this speech probably like 10, 12 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? They just recycle the same garbage of Iraq. Afghanistan. Somalia.
Syria.
But of course, the other thing is as he was calling out Russia for a brutal invasion led by one man. The irony, of course, is his slip. Is that he said Iraq, and Iraq is the place that obviously he invaded.
Absolutely.
And even his talk about the corrupt political system in Russia, like, everybody remembers the 2000 election where the hanging chads in Florida, the Supreme Court that decided to stop the recount, which gave him the election in the first place. So, obviously,
I was looking for a shoe to fly, really, to be honest with you. I thought Kamal was going to say, look, there's another shoe. Shout out to whoever that was that threw that shoe at him. I forgot.
That's true.
Yep.
He should be a hero.
So senility sets in and people start telling the truth on themselves.
Don't blame that on senility. That was Jesus. Look at God work.
That
God
was the look at God.
Shama Lama Zuma Lama.
I'm exposed.
That was the spaceship came down on him.
Kamal, where was this? Where was he speaking? Was it somewhere in Texas? Did I see that?
I think
Probably
it was in
Brooklyn.
Texas at his own institute. The George Bush Library Institute that they all get. So I think
his own people at his own institute didn't make sure he practiced that written reading.
Sure they did.
How many books you got in that library?
They had a giggle out of it because he did it. And they were like, "Oops."
What do you got? Dr. Seuss books up in that library?
I mean, the speech is right there in front of him. So maybe it was Jesus or Allah or Confucius or somebody.
It was all of them. It was
everybody.
It was Elegua.
The speech is literally right there in front of him. Words are printed there for him to read out. So
yeah. Shout out to Bush. I you appreciate his woo. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm still stuck in the library. The fact that they gave George Bush a library is like, that's how we live in a criminal society. You give a motherfucker that don't read a library.
It does not.
How does that work? He can't read the fucking teleprompter. I mean, like, come on, man.
Did he have like a literal piece of paper next?
Yeah, like, and then they said Portsmouth. I mean,
is it
then
true?
the hilarious thing also is that all of us who are old enough to remember Bush's presidency, we were just like, they can't elect a dumber white man than this. And then along comes Trump 8 years later, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I
I didn't even understand people saying that. I'm like, what do you mean you can't elect a dumber white man than this? It's gonna get better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he held it a certain way But with your other boy, Orange Head, you know, I mean, he was just a pimp. He just like, fuck it, this is what we about to do. We got inside a riot. No, what do you call them shits? No RICO charges brought up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you talking about RICO charges, you talking about a young thug. That's old thug right there. That motherfucker right there was gangster.
There's something Bush that said to me that Bush tried to read. He didn't understand words, but he tried to read.
He did.
There's something about Trump that says to me that he never even tried to open a book. Like it's all.
Trump never tried to read a book.
Yeah,
and he would proudly tell you that
he's busy writing his own.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody else is busy writing it for him. He's not writing his own book. Somebody's writing the book for him.
I do not subscribe to the fact that Bush read. Bush was a C student at Yale. So that means that somebody did all of his C-level work for him. So I don't think he ever cracked open a book, period, at all. And why would he? Just like Trump, the shadow people were running the government. You know what I'm saying? Cheney was president, not George Bush. So Bush didn't have nothing but sign his name.
I don't know, Kim. You sound like a conspiracy theorist right now, Kim. I'm not sure.
That's not conspiracy. I was alive.
The big brain, Carl. And in fact, I mean, bringing it back to the talk about religion earlier, it's like the Republicans. We talk all about these culture wars and stuff like that we're having, and I think Jared speaks about this a lot. Is the Republicans dive deep into that stuff, not because they care, like at least the elite Republicans, right? Not necessarily because they care about the issues or because they're on one side or another, but because they think this is what gets their population going and will get them out to the polls. So the Republicans have long used obviously everything from sort of racism and Willie Horton to issues of abortion, to issues of immigration for their purposes of winning elections with a largely white population that, again, doesn't read a lot and will just believe the things that they are told to believe because their history tells them that they belong on top, even if they're not really on top. So,
no doubt.
Well, I got to roll, y'all. Got to do my real job. Yes, I got to go.
Okay, me and Jackie have to go. It's a pleasure. We got to go do our show together.
Anyway, Sean Blackman and I are talking about what are we talking about today on By Any Means Necessary? We're talking about 71 years since Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty was launched, and the propaganda that they have continued to spew about Russia and the rest of anti-imperialist Europe. We're talking to Miko Peled about how AIPAC is about to pour millions of dollars into the midterm elections to defeat progressive Democrats. They've already started doing it. And it's going to be terrible. And we're going to be talking about, is the U.S. covering up its role in Jovenel Moise's murder? So that's our stuff. And we've got none other than Dr. Jared Ball for our live hour guest today. Check out By Any Means Necessary.
Our condolences.
On SputnikNews.com/radio.
Wait a minute, though. Before you go, I want to say I saw Sean Blackman in the chat trolling me. That's right, Sean Blackman. Sean talking about I can't say brewski. I'm talking about brusky because brusky is a pro-black dog. You know what I'm saying? So he ain't no brewski to me. That's my man Brusky from the 7th floor. That's how we do it.
I'm going to work on getting Mr. Blackman visually on the screen one of these
days.
We
go. One day. Let's get that into
one day, one of these days. But in the meantime, I got to roll, y'all. Peace.
No doubt. Be safe. I think we get Sean Blackman and Ricky Ryan out here together. I think they should do a co-host joint one.
Ricky should be able to come on. I'm not even talking to Ricky. What's going on with Burn It Down?
Anybody ever turn in their video demos to come co-host?
No, people talk trash in the chat, but they're not really step on the stage.
They like remixing. That's cool. It's no problem. You know,
we're about to wrap up. So Burn It Down. What's going on with you? What's coming on?
I don't know. Oh, actually, there was a couple stories from our Tuesday show that I didn't get to. So as we talk about the continuous threats and attacks to Black communities, I wanted to also highlight the fact that in Dallas, the Asian community is currently under an active threat. There have been a handful of racially targeted shootings at Asian-owned businesses. And up until recently, the Dallas police refused to say that these shootings were connected. They didn't want to acknowledge them as hate crimes. So at the same time as our communities are dealing with the after effects of racial violence, I mean, every community of color in this country is under attack by racist white supremacy. So I wanted to highlight that because I think it's important that we know that. And I also wanted to pay tribute to the slain Palestinian journalist, Shireen Abu Akleh, who was murdered by Israeli forces. She was assassinated. And during her funeral last week, Israeli forces not only tried to, I guess, take her body out of the fucking hospital, but as her casket was being carried through the streets of Palestine, they attacked her fucking funeral. I mean, just the sheer atrocity of it all, the inhumanity of it all. So in the ways in which Black people across this globe are attacked, people who are speaking up against white supremacy, against Zionism, against imperialism are also under threat as well. So I wanted to pay tribute to Shireen for her incredible bravery and for going down I want to say going down, but she was martyred, you know what I mean? So I want to pay homage to her as a member of the press, as a woman, as a Black woman, brown woman. It's important that we note her passing and her memory.
No doubt. And definitely, lift her up, hail her up, and all of these folks who are being attacked globally. I also want to point out for these last couple of minutes tonight, again, it's Malcolm X Day. Make sure you do your best to be your best. I'll be moderating a panel. It's called Hip Hop is a Tool for Liberation. You can meet if you're in the Atlanta area. My man Balogun will be on the panel. My man Flux will be on the panel. And Dr. Adia Winfrey, Minister Server will be in the building. You know what I mean? So definitely it's at Apex Museum tonight, 6 p.m. So come on and learn something if you're in the area. Also, if any of our folks are in Buffalo, hit me up, inbox me, whatever. I'm trying to get some information about Buffalo.
And folks, remember to check out I Mix What I Like tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. This is our Friday for the Remix Morning Show. The Ear Doctor owes us a mix because we did go over 250, but I think that he's not. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be here, so he's going to get that up to us on Tuesday. So everybody, peace out. Have a good week. Exactly. Everybody, peace out. Have a good weekend. Chill. Wait a minute. You coming on?
Right. Check me out Sundays. In the park. We going live at the Malcolm X Fest, 3 p.m.
What about the Chief? What's up with that mix, my man?
Remix. And we out of here, y'all. Check y'all out.